Yes, guys. Let's look at the question. This was given in GATE 2006 for 2 marks. Please read the question, guys. C1 has given IP address this and mask as this. C2's IP is this, mask as this. Now they're asking, if you observe this, both masks are different. Now what they'll consider? Do they think both are on same network or different network? Please remember one basic point. Every computer in network will know only its mask. I don't know what other system's mask is. I know only my mask. That is the basic point you have to understand. Call C1. C1 IP address is this. Mask is this. 8 plus 8 plus 1, 17-bit will be the mask. 17-bit will be the mask. That means C1 will communicate with any system whose 17-bit is same like this. Very good. That is C1. If you say hi to me, if I am C1, if you say hi to me, I'll ask your 17-bit. If it is same, I'll speak with you. Then how about C2? C2's IP is this, mask is this. 8 plus 8 plus 2, that is 18-bit will be the mask. So C2 will communicate with any system whose mask is same as this 18-bit. Now let's consider C2 says hi to C1. Whenever C2 says hi to C1, C1 asks, please give your 17-bit. C1 asks a 17-bit. That is network portion. As their 17-bit is same. Look at this. They both have same 17-bit pattern. So C1 assumes C2 is in same network. C1 assumes C2 is in same network. That is with C1. The next scenario, when C1 says hi to C2, C2 asks 18-bit. C2 asks 18 network bits of C1. 18 network bits of C1. Now C1 blindly gives this 18 bits. C1 blindly gives this 18 bits. Now it compares. They are not same. They are not same because 18th bit is 0 here, 18th bit is 1 here. As they are not same, so C2 thinks C1 is on different network. C2 thinks C1 is on different network because 18th bit is 0 here, 18th bit is 1 here. So answer will be C, guys. Clear? Yes. Please continue with the next question. This was given in GATE 2008 for 4 marks. Please go to the question. Yes, guys, let me explain. Look at the question. Host X and Y. Here are the IP addresses of X and Y. In between, there are two routers, R1 and R2. They have two interfaces, R1 having this one, R2 having this one, R2 having this and this. They didn't give the connections, guys. Please don't do any connections like this or something like this. They haven't given any connections. You have to identify that. Connections we need to make. And mask is given. Mask is this one. That is 8 plus 8 plus 8, 24 plus 3. That is 27 is the mask, guys. 27 is the mask. We'll see all these things. Host X, here's the IP, R1, R2, and Y study. Now, if you observe here, please split the fourth byte because all are class C, yes or no. If you observe the first byte, all will be of class C. All will be of class C, that is 24. But given mask is 27. Given mask is 27. That means S is equal to 3 bits. They borrowed 3 bits. These are the only 3 bits they borrowed for subnetting. So please split the 4th byte. Yes, I split everything. Mask is 24. So n is equal to 24, 27, h is equal to 5. Which class? It is class C. So n will be 24. Given n is 27, by default n is 24. So s will be 3 bits, guys. This is called subnetting. These bits used for subnet. So you borrowed 3 bits. When you borrow 3 bits, valid subnets will be 2 power 3 minus 2. That is 6 subnets will be the total subnets. Now look at the first question. Total number of subnets will be 6 subnets. Very good. But what is the question they asked? First question. Total number of subnets existing in this network. That is the question they have asking. They haven't asked 6 subnets. Total subnets they are not asking, guys. Please answer carefully. What are the total number of subnets existing in this network? That means you have to consider this entire thing as one network. So how many subnets have been used in this network? For that, you have to identify the 3-bit subnet portion. Identify 3-bit subnet portion. So first, 100 is used. Next, 011 and 011 second subnet, and 010 010. So only 3 subnets used by him. Only 3 subnets you have used. Though you have 6 subnets valid, yet you have used only 3 subnets. So first question answer will be 3. Second question, you have to complete the connections, guys. Now 97 is subnet 011. So what is the other double? That is 011. So these two are identical. That means 97 will be connected to 110 subnet, guys. 97 will be connected to 110 subnet. And how about this one? 135. If you take 135 subnet will be 100. 100 will be connected to this one. That is 155. 135 is connected to 155. Because both belongs to same subnet. Then only they can communicate. Otherwise they cannot. Next, 67. If you take 67, this one, 67010, it is connected to 80, guys. 67 is connected to 80, guys. This is how the connection has been made. So we completed the connections, guys. Now the first question, how many distinct subnets are guaranteed to already exist in this network? Fine. Though there are 6 subnets existing, are only 3, guys. Only 3 subnets are existing. Totally there are 3, guys. Altogether we have 8, but as it is FLSM, only 6 will be valid. But in this network, we used only 3 subnets. Second question, which IP address X should configure its gateway as? So for X, router will be this 110, guys. Router will be 110. For Y, router will be 67, guys. Like how you have to make the connections, guys. Clear? Yes. Now continue with the next question. This was given in GATE 2003 for 2 marks. Please read the question carefully and answer. Yes, guys. Question is wrong, guys. Question is wrong. Can you see mask like this? Mask will be always continuous ones and continuous zeros. It shouldn't be alternate zeros and alternate ones, guys. So mask is wrong, guys. Question itself is wrong. Mask is always continuous ones followed with continuous zeros. That's it. Mask will never be like this. Mask is never like this. So please never ever change the concept as per the question. So please be clear with the concept first. But theoretically you can answer this question. N, and this is host, this is N, this is host. You don't find mask like this. First 16 bits plus last 5 bits of third byte. So question is wrong, guys. But theoretically you can answer, no issues. So whichever these bits are same, they'll communicate theoretically, because ultimately system will boolean and to perform the network ID. So theoretically I'm answering, guys, but question is wrong, guys. Mask will never be like that. Mask will be continuous ones followed by continuous zeros, guys. Anyhow, both are network bytes only. The first option is definitely wrong. They belong to different networks because first 16 bits are not same. Ultimately, what I am doing is theoretically I am finding 16 bits plus last 5 bits of network bits I am finding, third byte. So these two are matching, but last 5 bits are not matching. So there is also not. They don't belong to the same network. How about here? They belong to different networks since second byte itself is different. The last option. Yes, they are same. They are same. So both operators belong to same network. But it's wrong, guys. Question is wrong. Just theoretically, I'm answering, guys. So, guys, mask will be always continuous ones followed by continuous zeros, guys. Yes. Now, let's get into the concept, guys. I'll explain switching and then I'll get back to the concept again. Can you have the next question? Yes. This was given in GATE 2015 for 2 marks. Please read the question carefully, guys. Answer. Yes, guys. Little ambiguity here, guys. This question is simple, but you have to understand the OSI model clearly. Look at this. Application layer gives user data, that is called message. To this transport layer adds transport header. We call it as segment. To this network layer adds network header. We call this as packet or datagram. Look at the question, guys. Host A sends a UDP datagram containing 880 bytes of user data. That means this 880 bytes belongs to this one. They're giving application layer information. They're giving application layer information. Ultimately, with respect to fragmentation, you have to know only one thing. If I'm a router, what is the incoming datagram? What is the outgoing datagram? That is required first. So to identify datagram size, you must know the information correctly. You know, datagram consists of network header, transport header, and data as well. Fine. Next. So given input, user application data will be 80 bytes. UDP header will be 8 bytes. IP header will be 20 bytes. That implies no options in IPv4. Total length will be size of IP4 header, UDP header plus size of message. That means all these things to be summed up. 20 plus 8 plus 880. That is 8908 bytes is the incoming datagram, guys. That means to the router, incoming will be 8908 bytes. Host A sending 8908 bytes to IPv4 to host B over Ethernet with MTU 1500 bytes. That means Ethernet outgoing MTU is 1500 bytes. Incoming MTU 8908, outgoing MTU 1500 bytes. That's it, guys. Now question will be clear for you. Router, it is 8908 bytes. It is 1500 bytes. So IP header is 20 bytes. A router removes the IP header, divides payload into fragments. That is, incoming payload is 48 bytes, outgoing payload is 1480 bytes. Total number of fragments will be 7, guys. 7 fragments and adds IP header to each fragment. First 6 fragments will be completely full. Last fragment will be partially occupied. So you know all these things. So finally, you have to fill this table, guys. Yes. For this, you have to prepare the table of outgoing payload. So 1, 2, 3. These are the starting byte numbers of each fragment. -1 will give this. this minus 1, this minus 1, this minus 1, and the last one is last byte, that is 888 7. Size of payload, anyhow first 7 will be completely full guys, first 6 will be completely full, last one may be partially full. 1480, last one 0 to 7, how many numbers? 8 numbers guys, so 8 bytes are there. Header is fixed. Datagram, last one will be 28. MF bit, all will be ones, last will be 0. Fragment offset, this divided by 8 every time. Starting byte number divided by 8 will be the fragment offset. You know all these things. So finally, I identified complete information about all headers. Now, whatever you want, you can answer. Clear guys? Yes. That is with respect to this. So here, the similar question, but in order to confuse you with incoming datagram, at times they'll say application layer data 100 bytes plus UD TCP header 20 bytes plus IP header 20 bytes. So incoming M2 is this one. So you have to combine all these things. That's it, guys. Now, look at the next question. This was given in GATE 2004 for 2 marks, guys. A little ambiguity, guys. Too much ambiguity in the question. Please read the question carefully. Yes, guys. Question is same, guys. Concept is same, but they're trying to confuse you by using certain words like per frame, that is one point, and excluding network overhead, that is other point. So you have to be very strong with what the frame consists of. Application layer gives data. To this transport layer adds network header, that is called as segments. To this network layer adds network header, that is called as packet or datagram. To this data link layer adds a header and trailer, that is called as frame. What is payload of frame? Whatever network layer is giving, that is called payload of frame. Now, that is datagram, definitely. What is payload of frame excluding network overhead? Payload of frame excluding network overhead, that is called segment, yes or no? That is called segment. Yes guys, that point you have to understand. Payload of frame excluding network overhead, that is called segment. Ultimately, being a router, what I do, I'll remove the IP header for fragmentation and distribute the bytes in segment to multiple fragments and adds IP header to each fragment. That is what I'll do. So now they said TCP message consisting of 2100 bytes. That means datagram will be 2100 plus 20 because segment size is 2100, IP header is 20 bytes. So 200 plus 20. Maximum payload of 1200 bytes per frame excluding network overhead. Datagram MTU is 1200 plus 20. So you have to include that. They mention excluding, you have to include that. Here, maximum payload of 400 bytes per frame, excluding network overhead, you have to include that. Because with respect to router, I need only one thing. What is incoming datagram? What is outgoing datagram? Don't say all this nonsense. What is the incoming MTU? MTU means the datagram size. What is the outgoing MTU? That's it. Please speak always in terms of datagram. Whatever you say, excluding, including, I don't want all this nonsense. Tell me two things. Incoming MTU, outgoing MTU. That's it. I'll do the fragmentation. Here all have been done. Now we'll see. 2100. Then what it does? It removes this header and 2100 will be divided into how many? Outgoing MTU will be 1200 guys. So 1200 plus 20, 900 plus 20. That's it. So one datagram divided into 2 fragments. First fragment and second fragment. Very good. Then here each will be of size only 400 guys. Outgoing payload will be 400. So 400, 400, 400. Here also 400, 400 and 100. Fine. So it became consider to this, it became 6 fragments here. Network overhead at second packet, that means 6 in 20, that is 120 bytes, guys. Overhead at first router will be 40 bytes. Overhead means initially there will be only one header. Whenever you do fragmentation, the headers will be multiplied. So at router 1, network overhead will be 40 bytes. At router 2, it will be 120 bytes. Now they asked question of at network overhead second network, that would be 120 bytes, guys. Clear? Yes. Now please read the next question. This was given, this is arithmetic question, guys. There is no logic in CM. It was given in GATE 2005 for 2 marks. Please read the question and answer. Yes, guys. Look at this. Given input. It's a packet switching network. So packets are routed from source to destination between 2 intermediate nodes. Okay, clear. Mesh size is 24 bytes. Each packet contains header of 3 bytes. I want to send a message of 24 bytes. Each header consists of 3 bytes. So in every message, I'll place some data and header must be placed. What is the optimum packet size? Whenever I say optimum means packet must be always full and header must be minimum. Yes or no? That is called optimum packet size. Whenever you say optimum packet size, every time if you look at the packet, it should be always full and ultimately header is non-productive. Yes or no? Header is always overlaid. You have to transmit this 24 bytes with minimum header. That's what. Let's take all parameters. First, they have given 24 bytes is the message and size of header, they give size of header is 3 bytes. 3 bytes. And in options, option A will be 1 is 4. Whenever I say 4, header will be 3 bytes. Whenever I say 4, header will be 3 bytes and the remaining 1 byte data I'll fit here. So 3 plus 1. So each packet will carry number of data bytes in each packet will be only 1 data byte. So how many packets to transmit for 24 bytes? If each packet is carrying only 1 byte data, that is 24 by 1, that is 24 packets. So what is the total bytes transmitted? Simple. You transmitted 24 packets with packet size being 4, 24 into 4. So you transmitted 96 bytes. To transmit 24 bytes of data, you transmitted 96. That means almost how much header? 96 minus 24. That is almost a 72 byte header you transmitted, which is very useless, guys. Now look at the next option, guys. Option B, that is 6. In 6, 3 byte header is mandatory plus 3 byte user data. So in each packet, you are transmitting only 3 byte user data. So total packets is 24 by 3. Sorry. That is 8 packets. So ultimately, you transmitted 8 packets of 6 bytes. That is 48 bytes. Somewhat better compared to this one. Look at the next one. Option C, 7 bytes. That is 3 is fixed, 4 bytes is user data. So 4 bytes, 24 by 4, that is 6 packets. That will be 42. Yes, it is far better than this. How about option D? This will be 9. 9 means 3 plus 6. So each packet is carrying 6 bytes of data. So 24 by 6, that is 4 packets. So ultimately only 4 packets each of 9 bytes, that is 36 bytes transmitted. It is far better. So never consider that the highest one is the better one, because whatever data you are carrying, that should be divisible by this one. If I say instead of 14 is equal to 3 header plus 11. So 11, so 24 by 11, that will be 3 packets. 3 packets. Third packet is almost negligible, guys. Data will be 14 into 3, 42. That's not the best one. You have to transmit 3 packets. 14 into 3, 42 packets will be the 42 bytes will be the total bytes transmitted, which is more than this. So never ever think highest number is always the efficient one. In this option, in the given options, 9 is the best one, guys. Now, continue with the next question. This was given in GATE 2014 for 2 marks. Please read the question, guys. It's a different model question, guys, and you'll be seeing this for the first time. So please try to put the effort. Yes. Let's continue. What is given? Protocol is IPv4. Yes, we know. Every host 1 second real-time clock with battery backup. That means the host will do its job even power goes off. Every host job is it generates 1000 unique identifiers per second. It generates only identifiers 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. 1000 numbers it generates per second. 1000 I can make it as 2 power 10. 1024 that can be called as 2 power 10. Every host has global unique IPv4 address. What is size of IPv4 address? That is 32-bit IPv4 address. Yes, very good. Size of identifier will be 1000 bits. That means it is generating 1000 identifiers with size of ID will be 50 bits. Now please tell me, if size of ID will be 50 bits, what are the total identifiers available? If size of IP is 32 bits, how many IPs are available? 2 power 32 IP address available. If size of ID is 50 bit, total IDs available will be 2 power 50 IDs, guys. 2 power 50 IDs. After what period will the identifier generated by host will wrap around? So as size of ID is fixed, if size of ID is not fixed, I can go to infinite. But size of ID is fixed. After some time, I have to reuse 50 zeros to 50 ones. So I have to reuse. So what time it takes if I generate at this speed? If I am generating 1000 IDs per second, after some time, I'll complete this 2 power 50 IDs. So what is that time they're asking? Size of ID is 50 bits. Every host gives 32-bit IPv4 address. If you compare these two, every host generates 2 power IDs per second. 50-bit ID means, what is the purpose of this? As every host is given 32-bit unique identifier, so you have to use this. That is, out of 50-bit, 32 bit will be yours and 18-bit will be the generated by host. Don't blindly generate 50-bit ID because you will be given 32-bit unique ID. So use the 32-bit plus generate only 18-bit. Yes, guys? Followed? Yes. Now size of ID generated by host will be 18 bits, guys. Ultimately, you are not generating 15-bit ID. You are generating only 18-bit ID. Because out of 50-bit, 32-bit, you have unique ID given that can be used. In question, they didn't mention, but you have to apply that. So total number of IDs available which are generated by host will be 18-bit means 2 power 18 IDs available. That's it. After 2 power 18, you have to wrap around. That means the same to be used. That is 18 zeros to 18 ones will be the available. That will be wrap around again. Now only 2 power 18 IDs available. Every host generates 2 power 10 IDs per second. That means in 1 second, I can generate 2 power 10 IDs. So how much time it takes to generate 2 power 18 IDs? That is 2 power 8, that is 256 seconds. After 256 seconds, you have to, all your numbers will be wrapped around. As you are generating with 2 power 10 IDs per second, in 256 seconds, you will generate 2 power 18 IDs completed. Afterwards, you have to start from scratch again. So answer will be 256, guys. These questions, if you see for the first time, you cannot answer, guys. Answering is impossible, guys. Impossible. It's not difficult, I'll say. If you see questions for these questions for second time, then you will understand. So please spend some effort like this. These questions are not related to our concept, guys. So what is this ID, generation, all these things? Ours is computers, computer networks. So you have to speak about efficiency or utilization, where I can answer. Efficiency or utilization, where I can answer. But what is this generation ID, all these things? But they are preparing questions like this also. Anyhow, that's not in our hands. So please get used to these kind of questions. That's it. The next question. Please read this question, guys. It's a 3D question. Fine. Subnet 1, subnet 2. And department, university, and university is available internet. That means host is connected, host is available in subnet, subnet is belongs to department, department university, university is part of internet. Now they're asking the largest network in which Ethernet address of the host is unique is. Usually Ethernet address will be used only within LAN. Only within LAN, that is within subnet. Ethernet address is physical address. It is a local address. It must be unique locally. It is not necessarily unique universally. So data link layer uses Ethernet for communication between hosts within the network. Ethernet address must be unique within each subnet in our case, because you divide department network into subnets. So Ethernet address must be unique within each subnet. Smallest network is subnet, largest network is internet, guys. So answer will be D.